President Joe Biden struggled with a faltering performance at the first presidential debate, while his Republican rival, Donald Trump, unleashed with a barrage of criticisms. Both candidates, the oldest in US presidential history, exchanged harsh personal barbs ahead of the upcoming November election. Joe Biden, sounding quite hoarse, made several slips early in the CNN presidential debate. In the first major gaffe, Joe Biden claimed, "We finally beat Medicare," prompting Donald Trump to seize on the error, saying that Joe Biden has beaten Medicare to death and is destroying Medicare.
What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
But a short time ago, affiliates at Fox News in the US had their immediate reaction to this first debate.
The news came in the first few moments. President Biden spoke his first words in a very raspy voice, at times stumbling through early answers. 10 minutes in, he stopped flat on an answer, stopped short. The White House is now telling reporters that the president has a cold and has had a cold. I hadn't learned that until tonight. On substance, former President Trump continued to hammer the issue of border security and illegal immigrants coming across the border again and again and again. President Biden did make points on abortion, defending NATO, but much of the debate went back and forth on how bad each president was, arguing about that, even going down to golf handicaps at one point. The moderators asked substantive questions. The candidates answered what they wanted. But the big thing was how they looked and how everyone reacted to this moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get past the obvious, which was this very weak voice from President Biden. At times he had looks of confusion. He was looking down, times where he looked vacant while President Trump was speaking. And as you mentioned, Brett, there was sort of a bit of a freeze around 12 minutes into this. I mean, this is a problem. This is an issue that either they're going to try to talk their way out of about the cold thing, or they're going to ask the question of whether or not the bar of a strong performance tonight was met. Because that is what was talked about, on other networks where you have prominent Democrats, Axelrod and Van Jones were saying, look, he needs to go out there, he's got to prove that he's capable of doing the job, and then he has to really stick it to President Trump and really nail that. And they were saying, if he doesn't do that, then he doesn't deserve to be up there. This is the elephant in the room, the donkey in the room, whatever you want to call it tonight. But this is the issue that everybody is going to be talking about. We're going to play a clip of this in a little bit. But he, just one example. He said he went to Normandy and he spoke to World War II veterans who died and visited the World War I cemetery. That's not an exact verbatim, but that both of those elements were in there. And I just want to make one other point, which is that Trump didn't really indulge in this. He didn't react a whole lot. He did, a little bit of a smirk face at times, but basically he stayed focused and looked straight ahead. He landed points on Afghanistan, said he fired generals who needed to be fired, and that that Biden had never done that. So obviously a lot to talk about.
Yeah, January 6th and other issues as well. Overall, the moderators asking questions all over the board. We'll bring in our panel. Britt, first to you, your thoughts on this night, what it means, what you took away from it.
All the discussion of issues that was held, all the details of the debate, none of that mattered. One thing that mattered more than anything else tonight, and that was Joe Biden's demeanor. And from the moment he opened his mouth in answering the first question he got, I think America looked and said, this man should not be reelected, simply because they were looking to see if he could display strength and command, and he displayed none of that. He sounded weak, possibly because of his cold. He seemed unfocused at times. He stumbled. He said preposterous things, just like the one Martha just mentioned about saying he, visited and talked to the soldiers who died. In my view, Trump didn't change very many people's view of him tonight. Biden, I think, did, and not for the better.
Let's go to Sean Hannity in the spin room in Atlanta. Sean, what's your reaction?
Guys, in the history of modern televised presidential debates, I don't think America has ever seen anything like this. I wrote down some adjectives, and I'm gonna just read a few of them off to you. It was the biggest train wreck of any presidential candidate ever. Britt is right. From the minute he spoke at the opening of the debate, he sounded awful. He started with speedy talk. He looked terrible. Maybe the worst part of all of this is when he wasn't even speaking, he was staring out like an empty vessel, or vacant, to use Martha's words. He was incoherent. This is after a full week of prep, mumbling, bumbling, stumbling, dazed, confused, struggling. He had a brain fart twice during the debate. It was a disaster. Now, I'm looking, for example, at the Drudge Report, and the Drudge Report is saying Operation Replace Joe Biden. That's not good. The Border Patrol Union has come out and said, to be clear, we have never and will never endorse Joe Biden. Politico has a piece out right now saying Biden is toast, calling it now. Biden stumbles and rambles in the opening debate. Operation Replace him in 130 days. The Democrats that I know that were texting me are in a state of complete, they are stunned at how bad this went for him tonight. But, I wish it weren't so. It was almost like I was waiting at times for somebody to just throw in the towel. It was a no mas moment. It's over. It's done. He is too weak. He is too frail. He is a cognitive mess. He is not strong enough for what is the most difficult, toughest, hardest job on the face of the earth, to be the president of our country. This is serious. It is significant. And I don't know how this plays out from here. To Donald Trump's credit, on the other end, he was dialed in. He did not take the bait. He took all the slings and arrows, the rehearsed lines of Joe Biden. He let it roll off him like water off a duck's back. And he stayed on message and was extraordinarily effective on pretty much every issue of substance they talked about. This is a historic night at a level that I can't even measure tonight.